I'm the Philosophical Bachelor, and today I want to talk about how experience depicts reality according to Maurice Merleau-Ponty. In order to rehabilitate human perception as a means to decipher reality, Maurice Merleau-Ponty delivered a series of 7 lectures on French radio in 1948 over 7 weeks. These have been compiled in a book entitled The World of Perception. The book is a useful and easy to understand primer for Merleau-Ponty's philosophy of phenomenology. It is particularly helpful since Merleau-Ponty's writing can be rather impenetrable, but in these lectures he demonstrates that he also has the ability to write simply and clearly. At first, it may seem puzzling why perception needs to be defended as one way, if not the primary way that human beings understand the world. Is it not obvious that sense perceptions received through our 5 senses of sight, sound, touch, smell, and taste, where we interact with the world, reveal what the world is? Would not even cavemen already be thinking this way? Yet this simple notion has come under fire and considered as almost naive. Science tells us that what we perceive as a chair is in fact a collection of atoms and molecules. We cannot see them with our bare eyes or touch them with our fingers, but science tells us that atoms and molecules are indeed the true reality of the chair. It would seem that our senses are unable then to convey to us what reality is truly like. Merleau-Ponty is responding to this scientific worldview that has come to be prevalent in his time and continues today. He is also responding to Immanuel Kant's philosophy of transcendental idealism. Kant posits 12 categories, space, and time as the structure of our faculty of understanding. We never just perceive raw sense data, but must interpret them through the structure of our understanding in order to make sense of them. From this, Kant concludes that we can never get to the thing in itself, which he terms noumena. We can instead only experience phenomena. Merleau-Ponty accedes to Kant's concept of the structure of our understanding, but does not agree that we hence cannot experience noumena. In his book, Phenomenology of Perception, he writes, "But Kant's conclusion from this was that I am a consciousness which embraces and constitutes the world, and this reflection caused him to overlook the phenomenon of the body and that of the thing. We are not just mere consciousnesses or minds inhabiting a shell of the body. The body is integral to our self-identity and hence our essence. It is also through the body that we interact with the external world, and hence, if we want to know the external world, we need the body. Consciousness by itself has no way to know the external world without the body. Without embodiment, there is no conscious experience. Without consciousness, there is also no experience. For the purpose of analysis, the mind and body have been considered as separate entities, though they are in actuality inseparably unified. Our conscious experience of the world is the experience from an embodied consciousness." Merleau-Ponty's thesis can be summed up in 3 words. Experience depicts reality. He wants to rehabilitate the world of perception from the scientific and Kantian idea that the world we perceive is merely appearance which does not correspond to reality. Merleau-Ponty tells us that the classical view from psychology is that an object is a system of properties which present themselves to our various senses and which are united by an act of intellectual synthesis. Properties of an object all seem to be disconnected from one another and yet are somehow unified in the entity. He writes, "The unity of the object will remain a mystery for as long as we think of its various qualities as just so many data points belonging to the entirely distinct worlds of sight, smell, touch, and so on. Instead, each quality has an affective meaning, which links each quality to the other qualities perceived from each of the senses. He gives an example of how the color of a room can affect a person's mood. For me, listening to music can change how I feel, for instance, in a hot and crowded bus. According to Merleau-Ponty, the various sense perceptions are linked through our body in such a way that each color is the equivalent of a particular sound or temperature. He writes, "Our experience contains numerous qualities that would be almost devoid of meaning if considered separately from the reactions they provoke in our bodies. Meaning comes from our subjectivity through the experience of the qualities. These experiences and meanings can be rather universal, for instance, in the case of honey, which he borrows from Jean-Paul Sartre. Honey has a visual appearance of a golden color, but also a gooey, sticky texture that clings to your fingers even after you let it go. Merleau-Ponty talks about the idea of being honey, which perhaps means something in French, but not in English. Instead, I suggest we consider what honey trap means. A honey trap contains no honey, but alludes to the qualities of honey. A honey trap has an attractive appearance, promises a pleasant taste, but once you get inside, it will be hard to extricate yourself. This metaphor only makes sense because of the dialogue between me as an embodied subject and the external object which bears this quality. The only definition of this quality is a human definition. Honey is a particular way the world has of acting on me and my body. The taste of honey is linked with its tactile sensation, its sugary taste lingering in the mouth and throat even after swallowing. Another example Sartre gives is how the yellow color of a lemon is inextricably linked with its sourness. Each of its qualities is extended throughout each of the others. It is the sourness of the lemon which is yellow. It is the yellow of the lemon which is sour. He explains, attributes do not simply stand side by side, but are identical insofar as they all reveal the same way of being or behaving. The unity of the object does not lie behind its qualities, but is reaffirmed by each one of them. Each of its qualities is the whole. Hence, according to Sartre and Merleau-Ponty, reality is not masked by appearances but affirmed by it. A thing's various qualities mutually support one another to give us a unified reality, not give us a unified reality despite its various qualities. Merleau-Ponty returns to how things make us feel. Experiences are not pure rational cognitions, the way Kant considers them. The things of the world are not simply neutral objects which stand before us for our contemplation. Each one of them symbolizes or recalls a particular way of behaving, provoking in us reactions, he writes. Think of how Goths wear black, how a smell of a particular dish can bring back pleasant memories of mother's cooking, or how a loud sound can trigger a war veteran. Our relationship with things is not a distant one. Each speaks to our body and to the way we live. They are clothed in human characteristics, emblems of forms of life we either love or hate, he adds. The essences of things lie less in their observable properties than in what they say to us. Hans Jonas will later tell us in The Phenomenon of Life that our feelings in relation to our interactions with things cause values to develop in us. We then attribute to them meaning. While Kant may be correct that sensations, feelings, and meanings are not in the thing in itself, that may only be one perspective and not the one that matters. That is one of the lessons that the phenomenological tradition is trying to teach us. Thank you for listening to the Philosophical Bachelor.